I'm sure we're all familiar with countries like the USA, Russia, China, France and the UK. They are countries that pretty much shape our planet and make global news on a daily basis. The actions of the governments of countries like these can affect and influence quite literally billions of people across the planet. Countries gain popularity from a variety of different ways. Perhaps they are a world superpower, perhaps they have a successful football team, popular cuisine, history, culture, unique tourist attractions, or are just straight up so big you can't miss them. Size isn't always a factor for how popular or relevant a country is, however. Sometimes you might get a very small nation like say Monaco or Barbados, who are very well known due to them being unique and or popular holiday destinations. However, there are many countries in the world that could be considered irrelevant on the world stage. Countries that no one ever really talks about, countries that you wouldn't be surprised if your friends or family had never heard of. Now, quick disclaimer, this video is just for fun and completely subjective. If you are from one of these countries in today's video, which I'd be very surprised at, then of course it wouldn't apply to you. So let's start off with today's first country, Suriname. Suriname is a small country on the northeastern coast of South America. It is defined by vast amounts of tropical rainforest and Dutch colonial architecture. Its official language is Dutch. As someone who is fascinated by geography, that is pretty much the only thing I could really tell you about Suriname. I can't imagine many people, especially those not interested in geography, could even tell you a single fact about this country. Its population is only 500,000 and its GDP is less than what the mobile game Candy Crush has made in the last 3 years. One thing that Suriname ranks first in the world for is its percentage of its land that is covered in forest, at an incredible 98.3%. Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan is a mountainous, landlocked country in Central Asia. It is bordered by Kazakhstan to the north, Uzbekistan to the west, Tajikistan to the south, and China to its east. Its capital and largest city is Bishkek. Now, for me and probably most people, Central Asia is a bit of a mystery. It is a gigantic region with a very small population. In terms of world affairs and global events, the countries of this region are relatively unheard of. The problem with Kyrgyzstan is that it is often overshadowed by the bigger Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is a very well-known country because of one man and one man only, Borat. Kyrgyzstan is a very raw but beautiful, picturesque, almost untouched country, but that's about all it has. North Macedonia. North Macedonia, officially the Republic of North Macedonia, is a country in Southeast Europe. It gained independence in 1991 as one of the successor states of Yugoslavia. The thing that I believe North Macedonia is most famous for is its flag. It has one of the most eye-catching designs I have ever seen for a flag. With a population of just 2 million and a GDP of 15 billion, as well as being a small landlocked country, it is fair to say that North Macedonia is a relatively unknown country to most people. Brunei. Brunei is one of the smallest countries in Asia and in fact the world. Its population is less than 500,000. Oil and gas production, which provides 90% of government revenue and 90% of exports while generating few jobs, accounts for more than half of its GDP. Most people here work directly for the government. Now, Brunei has extremely strict laws and punishments and follows Sharia law. One of its laws is that adultery and close proximity in private between an unmarried man and woman is illegal if one of them is Muslim. Brunei does have gorgeous, immaculate architecture and mosques, but apart from that, there really isn't much else to do here. Many travelled YouTubers who I watch have visited there and said it is one of the most boring countries they have ever visited due to its extreme strict laws. Laos. Now, I have actually been to Laos before, and one of my best memories in life was visiting the Kwangsi Falls waterfall. However, when I told friends and family that I was visiting this country, most of them either hadn't heard of the country at all or had no idea where it was or what it was all about. Laos is often completely overshadowed by its neighbours, countries like Thailand, Cambodia and Vietnam. After visiting myself, it's not a country I would ever particularly recommend. Not that it was bad or anything, there's just not much to do or see, especially when compared to the countries it borders. Comoros. Comoros is a tiny volcanic archipelago located in between Madagascar and mainland Africa. Although a tropical paradise, not a lot goes on in this country that would attract the attention of the outside world. Comoros has a population of less than 1 million and is spread out over 4 islands. Its GDP is, as expected, extremely low, at around $1.3 billion. Most people probably haven't even heard of this country, let alone know exactly where it is. If you were to visit a tropical African nation, you would likely visit Seychelles or the Zanzibar island of Tanzania instead. Mauritania. Mauritania is the 11th largest country in Africa. 90% of its territory is situated in the Saharan desert. Most of its population of around 4.4 million lives in the temperate south of the country, with roughly 1/3 concentrated in the capital and larger city, Nouakchott, located on the Atlantic coast. When I searched for what Mauritania was most well known for, I quite worryingly saw this. Mauritania is known for its poor human rights records, most notably the continued practice of slavery. Not a great look for the country at all. At just 5.2 billion, its economy is very weak given its size and population. Most of the country is barren, and the British government advises not to travel to pretty much all of the country. It is fair to say that Mauritania will not be on most people's bucket lists. Tuvalu. Tuvalu in the South Pacific is an independent island nation within the British Commonwealth. Its 9 islands comprise of small, thinly populated atolls and reef islands with palm-fringed beaches and World War II sites. At just 26 kilometers squared, Tuvalu is the 4th smallest country on Earth. Its population is just 12,000, and its GDP is somewhere around $60 million. The only time anyone would ever really talk about this country is to discuss just how small but beautiful it is. Personally, I would love to visit this country. Imagine just whipping out your phone and zooming in on Google Maps and seeing yourself in such a cool remote place in the world. Knowing that the closest major civilization is literally thousands of kilometers away. It would be kind of scary, but certainly kind of cool. Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea, as the title suggests, is a Central African country that sits pretty much on the equator. Now, this country is tiny. It is just 28,000 kilometers squared and has a population of around 1.5 million. Its economy size is around 12 billion. Equatorial Guinea is a very rich country in terms of its natural resources, meaning that there are actually some very wealthy people living here. However, there is also extreme poverty here too. It is the only country in Africa to have Spanish as the official language, and is one of the only nations in the world to not have its capital on the mainland. Paraguay. Paraguay is a landlocked country between Argentina, Brazil and Bolivia, home to large swaths of swampland, subtropical forest and wilderness, comprising of savanna and scrubland. Not the most ideal of terrains. That description certainly isn't really selling it to me. Paraguay is heavily overshadowed by its bigger, more famous neighbours like Brazil and Argentina, and is a relatively unknown country. Its population and size are also much smaller than the countries surrounding it. Paraguay, as just mentioned, is landlocked. This means that it doesn't have any coastline or nice beaches to rave about. The main thing that Paraguay does have going for it is that it is home to the Iguazu Falls, one of the most incredible waterfalls on the planet. Timor-Leste. Timor-Leste, or East Timor, is a Southeast Asian nation occupying half of the island of Timor. Many landmarks in its capital, Dili, speak to the country's struggles for independence from Portugal in 1975, and then Indonesia in 2002. With a lack of economic opportunities, East Timor is known to be one of the poorest nations in Asia. Of the country's population, 42% live below the national poverty line. East Timor is probably best known for its beaches and scuba diving. However, as there are so many other countries in this region which also offer this isn't really unique or enough to make East Timor worth visiting. Dominica. Dominica is a tiny mountainous Caribbean country that is often mistaken for the bigger island of the Dominican Republic. Dominica's population is just 72,000 and sees tourist numbers far less than surrounding islands such as Barbados and Antigua. Now, don't get me wrong, Dominica is a beautiful tropical island, but as previously mentioned, most people probably haven't even heard of it. They will most likely confuse it with the Dominican Republic. Now, of course, this video could have went on forever. There are so many countries in the world that no one really ever talks about, especially the tiny island scattered nations across the Pacific. But that is it for today. If there are any others that you think we missed out, please let us know below. And as always, thank you so much for watching, subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you very soon in our next video.